Welcome to If I Die Today. It's a podcast hosted by me, Samay Mishra. Before we begin, I want to make something really clear. This podcast is entirely independent of my professional work and my company. The views and opinions shared here by myself or by any guest are personal reflections meant to inspire, inform, and provide perspective. Nothing discussed should be taken as professional, financial, or medical advice, nor as a representative of any institution or organization that we're affiliated with. This is a space for honest conversation about life, purpose, and what truly matters, all shared in a personal capacity. Really thank you for tuning in to If I Died Today. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today I have a special guest, a good friend of mine, and a very talented individual. I have Rythum Singh here. He has started and is the founder of Darzi Studio, designer, Tailor, and so much more. I'll let him introduce himself and give a little bit of background on who he is and what he does. But yeah, really excited to have you on today.
Thank you, Samay. Thank you for having me on, man. I'm super excited to be here. And thank you for that introduction, man. I really do appreciate it. We met, has it been a year now, right? Or like a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit over a year, yeah.
Honestly, man, a lot has changed since the first time you stepped into the studio. We were, at a much smaller office. This year, we made a lot of waves, got into a bigger space. So the brand is headed in the right direction. And I'm so happy about that, right? This has always been like a passion to me. I feel like, the conversation that we initially had, this is something that I feel like was my calling in a way, where I used fashion as a medium to basically, be more confident, to be more social, be more, outgoing in a way. I was like growing up as like an introverted kid. Fashion as a medium allowed me to like be more confident and outgoing. And I think it's just been wonderful. Started Darzi Studio about like 5 years ago. Started as a passion project. I was making suits for myself, making suits for friends and family and things like that. And then little over 3 years ago now, established into a business. Was doing it alongside my day job. I was in sales before this. I think I was telling you briefly in ad tech. I left that about a year and a half ago and to do this full time. And it's been quite honestly the most fulfilling thing I've done. One of the most favorite things about my job is like I meet so many different people from different walks of life. And it's a really personal thing to get a custom suit, right? So even if you recall the consultation, it's more so a combination of your personality, and then, the suit helps for sure too, right? But the suit is tailored for you, not just by size, but also by your style, your aura, and like, how you want to go out and, speak before, have the suit speak before you even, have to.
No, it's awesome. And I think to give the viewers a little bit more context, so when I was first looking for my first nice suit, essentially in New York City, I was looking at a few retail stores, but a mutual friend of ours connected me to Rythum and his studio, and the idea of a one-on-one, a tailored experience, a consultation was appealing. So I had hit him up, and when we did our initial consultation, I felt the energy right away and the passion behind what you do. That conversation itself, I walked away from the consultation energized. I walked away from it feeling confident that I had chosen, the right way and the right person to guide me through the process. Because also me, like, it was the first time that I had gotten like a tailored suit aside from like my brother's wedding. First time that I have like some money on my own that I want to spend for something like this. I'm so glad that I did it with you, because that experience and that consultation, it felt on a personal level we connected. And then on top of that, aside from you guiding me and hand holding me through the process, from selecting fabrics, from telling me your story, how you started, you also created power with me to make the right decisions. Like you would present, whether that was fabrics, whether that was the type and the style and how quick you wanted it, like all those things were curated for the individual. And it felt like at the end of the day, I was making that choice. I had walked in with like a suit on already, so you could see like the state of what I was in, and also with some Nike Dunks on. And I feel like if I had walked into a traditional retail store, people would have looked at me crazy, but that was something that you pointed out right away, and we're like, I love that. And I think that spoke to like your character in general in fashion, and that's where we initially connected. And then from then on, of course, I went through the process, and we had stayed close and follow each other on social media since. And from there, I've seen also over the past year your brand and your studio evolving. So it's really exciting to see that come to fruition. And I'm glad that I could have you on the pod. I think it's going to be a fun conversation, a little bit unique. And I think it'd be a helpful place for people to start to actually get a little bit more context on you. Tell me a little bit more, on a personal level, what was your earliest memory as a child? And that can be, away from fashion, with fashion, but your earliest memories that you can recollect when you were like conscious and you think back, when you think back at childhood, like what was that memory that categorized that for you?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think fashion has always been the theme of like conversation at dinner tables. My family's been in fashion for such a long time. All my cousins are in fashion, and it's sort of been a business that the family's been involved in for a very long time. We've always ventured off in like to women's wear, so the conversations are all more about like sequins, dressing, embroideries, things like that. And coming from a country like India, being born there, actually I was born in India. I came here when I was like 6 years old. It's so embedded in our culture. It's so embedded in the things that we do, the way we move, and the parties that we attend, right? If you look at it, right, the first thing that an Indian bride or groom will decide is like the clothing, the outfits, the themes, and things like that. Such a loud, lavish way of living, right? And we do it through the clothing that we wear. So I mean, honestly, dude, it was being not old enough to go to these parties, and my parents would be going, and I remember just like sitting down with like my dad, him getting ready. He's very, very into fashion himself. He wears a pug. For those that don't know, it's like a turban, right? In Sikh culture that we, and dude, he would match it with not only like my mom's outfit, but like also like his outfit, his suits, his if he's wearing a kurta, he'll match it with that. So seeing him get ready, being so excited and charged up, and being excited about that, really, I felt like started instilling in me that like, this is really cool, man. I want to do this, and you look at your father and you kind of embody that. And so as a child, I think that's where the itch really started, was to dress up. I remember like one of the most favorite times with me and how I spent it with my dad was like going shopping, right? Like he would go, and he's just like this loud guy. He's like the life of the party, and he really, really puts effort into the clothes that he wears. So like seeing him going shopping, picking out like the different fabrics, different different silhouettes, different things, like whether it was a suit, whether it was even just like knitwear, like sweaters, he'd be really specific and meticulous in his approach. And I think like that allowed me to connect with him a lot better, and that helped foster our relationship. And I think that's a common interest that we have, and we really bond out, right? So I think like it really just starts from there. It starts from my father, right? Like I think seeing him do all that, even my mom obviously, but specifically for menswear, and seeing him as a role model was really what started this all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess your mom was also involved in fashion. I remember you speaking about her also studying in fashion, not really applying it, but then later on now is in the business. Where do you feel like it became a point for you to capitalize? Was it something like even when you were in elementary school, middle school, where it was like, oh, I'm going to care about the things I wear? Because I remember for me in middle school, elementary school, like it was never a point of topic for my family. Like for us, it was like, just wear something, like you're there to study, like don't worry about looking good. But I also grew up with an older brother too, so I would always copy the things that he'd wear and the fashion trends, always get his hand-me-down clothes. And at a certain point, you want to look good for the girls or just look good in general and feel good. And that concept came to fruition, I feel like, when it was about high school or late middle school. When did it come to fruition for you? Was it always something that you cared about? Or was there a certain trigger point where I was like, oh, I really want to be conscious of the things that I'm wearing?
Yeah, man. I mean, I honestly, I feel like it really starts from like all the way even like middle school, elementary school, right? I think like being surrounded by my like dad, who really wanted to like dress up and really put effort into the things that he wore, really just kind of instilled that from the very beginning. I would say that like, I was kind of alluding to this earlier. I was a very, very quiet kid, right? And some people might not realize that when they see me now, but I think it's really what I wore and the fashion that I brought out that allowed me to be a little bit more outgoing, that allowed me to have like more conversations, that allowed me to like kind of showcase my personality through that medium, right? Whether it was just like wearing, a school uniform. Like I went to like a middle school where there's like a uniform.
Yeah.
Even dressing that up in a way that was different from like just every other kid, I think allowed me to even make some friends at a certain time. I can't really remember where it first started, but I think it really does goes really, really, really far back, right? Because I think just seeing it in the household so much just kind of made it a thing that like, oh, this is what people do. This is like what I have to do. It wasn't like my parents would be like, hey, go buy like expensive stuff. And like, obviously they were like thinking about like, don't focus on like your clothes, obviously focus on your studies, as any Indian parent does. But I think like they never stopped me either, right? Like if I wanted to go out and there was like a party happening and I wanted to go out and buy something nice for it, I think they were the type of parents that kind of encouraged it because they saw what it did to me and how it helped my personality grow. So
Hmm.
I'm really fortunate that that was the case. It's also unfortunate that I got a really bad shopping problem and I was just so much stuff all the time, man. And I had my closet like toppling over.
Oh man.
But it helped my brother because he used to get the hand-me-downs, and he still
Oh
goes in my
yeah.
closet today. And we're
I'm
like trading
sure.
signs, bro. Dude, it's so bad. He'll go to my closet and it's something new. He'll just like rip off the tag and just like wear it. And obviously, as a bigger brother, I can't really say much, but it's really instilled in everyone, man. It's insane. Like
Yeah.
I'm surprised my brother hasn't started something in fashion just yet, but he helps out a lot. But I think it kind of goes back to the whole bonding thing, right? I think like as a whole family, we bond out, over fashion, over like what we wear. And I keep saying fashion, and some people might think of it as trends. I feel like I never really was like a trendy kid. I don't think I ever really like, I don't know, follow the trends or like I think I hopped on the bandwagon way too late about like sneakers or like, even like I remember like growing up in here in the States, going to school here, Abercrombie and Fitch, Hollister was like a huge thing. I don't even think I wore
Mhm.
that till the very, very end because I saw other people wear it. I was like, oh hey, cool. Like, as a kid you grow up and you're seeing the influences that school has on you. I think I started wearing that stuff late too. I think it was more so about matching the right color tones, right? Wearing a specific fabric according to the weather or like things like that. Making sure it was like really well fitted. I think like the fit for me was like key. I was also like a chubby kid growing up, so I feel like I used specific colors and specific like silhouettes to kind of mask that too.
Mhm.
But it really, honestly, man, it was instilled in every single thing I did. I think it came to a point where in my friend circle, like people would also take notice of that and they'll always say, hey, like he's always got the freshest threads on and stuff. And I felt like I kind of used that to my advantage and kind of made that my personality, right? So,
Yeah.
clothes are a great like conversation starter. If I wore something pretty polarizing and peacocked a little bit, it definitely opened up a conversation. So,
Yeah.
kind of alluding to what I was saying, it allowed people like tap me on the shoulder, hey, where'd you get that? And that allowed me to like carry the conversation a little forward, got me out of my shell, and then it kind of just it's like a full circle story.
Yeah. That's really, I think, helpful context because, I think I see some of the similar things reflected in your brand to this day. You are a centerpiece for a lot of the clothes that you wear, and I'm sure when you go out and are wearing some of the unique suits and styles that you do wear, those are the same things that lead to a connection of like, hey, like where'd you get that? Or I love that style. Like, is there somewhere you go? And then you're like, this is mine. And I think
I
that
love saying
conversation
that.
is really unique. Like I made this is me. So I think that's beautiful. I think that reflects as a medium in your own work today. So I think I kind of want to shift the conversation a little bit to the jump from you told me a little bit that you were in ad tech. Where did that shift happen when you started the passion project? And also you told me that you've also had some mentors in the process of shifting. And I want you to talk a little bit about, that jump to passion project to full time and a little bit of the impact of what a mentor is and was for you in that process.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think if I didn't do any of the things prior to doing this, I don't think this would be on the track it is today. I think, in hindsight, like I look at all the experiences that I've had, may have not, like the dots may have not connected in terms of like the theme of it, but I think every single thing along the way helped me be the person I am today and capable enough to run the business that I am running today. And ad tech has definitely been the theme. I think I've stayed in the industry for about like, I want to say close to like 7 to 8 years. Started at a healthcare media agency, super boring, working on like I remember like sleep medication advertisements, and that was just you can just only imagine how boring that was.
Yeah.
So I did that for about 6 months, and then I switched to another agency where I found my first mentor. He became a really pivotal like role model in my life. His name is Neil Murphy. He's this like really eccentric British dude who is just the greatest salesman that I ever known in my entire life. I think he's just like full of energy, full of like insight, and he's just so traditional. I saw that in him, how he would carry himself at work in a professional setting, but then when we'd hit the bars and go out with like the coworkers, he would switch his like personality. And one thing always remained consistent, no matter what the weather was, no matter whether it was COVID or we were behind screens, he'd always be wearing like a three-piece suit. And I think that is what really like allowed me to gravitate and like us to bond was like the clothes that we wore too, right? He's a really
Mhm.
fashionable guy, but the insights that he had to offer, man, I think like to this day, I mean, we still chat and he got married along our friendships, and I was a groomsman at his wedding, so like we got really really close,
Mhm.
and I really lean on him for advice about anything. I whether it's health, he's like pretty much of like a fitness junkie, I guess. Like, he's very, very specific about the things that he eats and consumes, not only like food wise, but like just like books that he reads. And he's the one who introduced me like stoicism, and like it really just goes pretty deep, man. There was this one book he gave me for when I first started the sales job and I was working under him. It was How to Sell by Joe Owen. It was this British writer, and he gifted me that book, man, and that book really changed a lot. It showed me how to negotiate. It showed me how to carry myself in these conversations. Showed me how to sell, right? Like just the title of the book. But I think it was more so him guiding me and him putting it into practice. Me reading it and him putting it into practice allowed me to kind of see it and allow me to kind of get out of my shell and do that as well. So I worked with him for about like 4 or 5 years, and then I shifted to another agency. That one was honestly at a time when I was also doing another project.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I've always had this like entrepreneurial spirit in me. I think like I've always made sort of like these side quests and doing it alongside like a full-time job. And I think it's so important to do that, right? Like I think it's like having that 9 to 5 helped me be the person I am today, because it gives you that sort of structure and that discipline that you really need. But you also see like the dynamics of how a company is supposed to be run. And I was fortunate enough to do it at these small startups that I really got to wear multiple hats and really got to figure out like the operational side of a business, right? And I think that, to me, I think to this day, it helps me so much do what I do here at Darzi Studio. But yeah, fast forwarding, I did another agency, but I was doing a tech startup alongside of that in fashion as well too. It's basically, it was like the peak of COVID when like buy online, pick up in store was becoming a thing. And I wanted to jump on that trend, and basically we created this widget that sat on the e-commerce gateway of like a retail store's online shop. And let's say that you're sitting in a city like New York and you're ordering something from a retailer like Zara. The inventory that you're most likely going to buy is located near you anyway. So what I did was create that widget on the e-commerce gateway. You would add your things to your cart. On checkout, it would say, hey, Samay, would you like same day delivery for these orders? And what that would do is route that order to Uber's API, and Uber will go basically facilitate that delivery from like a to B to C model. Like the driver goes, gets the order, picks it up from the store, and then delivers it to you. So we did that for about like 17 different fashion brands, and I focused on small retail shops here in New York City in Soho. One of the first brands was a brand that I used to shop at. I mean, I had like a sneaker phase too. It's a brand called Extra Butter. I was working with them for a little bit, and we had the tech on their website, and we were doing these deliveries. Did that for about 2 years, man. I actually went out to SF to raise for it. Actually didn't really work out. So it was, I call it, my fee as like my MBA basically.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hands-on experience of starting a tech startup, finding my first client, finding the right product market fit. Though it didn't work out, I think it just, it was such a valuable lesson, and Neil helped me along the way as well too. And I think that was like when me and him really started bonding, because he also had that entrepreneurial spirit in him, and he saw that in me. And the fact that like he allowed me to do this on the side while, having the job that I had, it was like during when I was at the company that he was at, and then I'm leaving for this new company. And the reason I made that switch was to learn a little bit more about what it is to be like a tech entrepreneur, right? The startup that I went to, it was a more tech focused role. I was like a solutions engineer, like a product manager at that company, shifting from sales, right? And really building out this like whole tech stack for this company. But that allowed me to like learn what a PRD is, how to like write a product document, how to chat with engineers and have those like deeper conversations. So I mean, selfishly, I took that job to really learn a little bit more about that side of the world. And as you can see, the theme of this is nowhere in there was a mention of suits or fashion, but one thing that remained consistent: Neil would always wear suits, and I would always wear mine. I would still go to work wearing, like a fresh fit. Even in work, right? The same thing carried forward, right? Like I would still be regarded as that guy, like, yo, Rhythm, why are you wearing a suit? We work at a tech company. People wearing, like, the CEO's wearing like a t-shirt. Why are you pulling up a suit? I think it was me just kind of standing out at these organizations, and then also again conversation, network. It happened all because of the things that I was wearing. Fast forward a year and a half ago to close to 2 years now, I left my full-time job. I think honestly the decision wasn't really that. It was like pretty easy decision, because they were like, hey, you got to come into the office now. I was like, hey, I got this thing going on the side, there's no way I'm gonna do it. In hindsight, yeah, it doesn't go much deeper than that, to be honest, but I think it was the push that I needed, because and doing Darzi at the same time. I don't think Darzi I wouldn't be sitting here in this new studio if I was doing that side by side, because I don't know, man. I think like this is one thing that I think we see in our society today, like the whole act of multitasking, doing multiple things. But I think there's a true science behind like just focusing and having that tunnel vision on one thing and doing that one thing again repeatedly, day after day, year after year. And the growth you start seeing in it is insane. Like that
Mhm.
year and a half to 2 years now that it's been here doing this full time, I've seen the business grow tremendously, right? Like first I was literally just doing this out of like WeWorks and conference rooms and things like that, and doing like mobile fittings and going to people carrying like a luggage around like fabrics and things like that. Whereas now I have people coming to me and seeing the fabric books that I have here, and having a more personal consultational experience like you had similarly. And now it's even more elevated, and I don't think that would have happened if I was if I was still doing this alongside my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But long story short, I think all those experiences, the mentors that I gained along the way, really molded the type of individual that I am, and hopefully capable of running this business. And I have to say, this has been our strongest year yet. So just can't wait for 2026, man. I have so many things planned.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things on the horizons.
No, it's exciting. And I think, there's a lot to say there, but I think an accumulation of those experiences tends to be what I hear from a lot of people who end up in spaces. It's whether or not they're related, they tend to be because all those things and experiences and skills, whether they're in a different space or in the same space, they tend to contribute. And the hard work and effort that it takes to do those things, I think some people, may look at that journey and say, oh, he wasted time. He should have been doing that from the get-go. It's like, no, like those things are the reason you were able to take a leap of faith on what you were doing and pursue that passion and meet the right people. So oftentimes people who feel like, that path is linear to getting where you are now, it's not. I think it takes all those different experiences and outcomes to be the person and build the brand the way you have. So I guess that answered, some of my next questions, but tell me a little bit more about Darzi. Tell me about, so the story behind the Darzi, I'm sure you'll tell it a little bit better than me, but there was a village tailor, and essentially the Darzi was someone who created garments for all castes and families back in India. Tell me what made you want to bring that spirit to the West, and a little bit more about that.
Absolutely, man. I think the latter part of what you said and described what a Darzi is, I think is the most important bit to take away. Apart from being his tailor, Darzi means tailor in Hindi. It's like the direct translation of it. But I think like for all caste and families, right? I think that's the bigger thing. If you look at India, it's such a diverse place, but also like with they have a really crazy caste system, man. I feel like there's there's a caste, there's like the untouchables, right? Like where the highest of the highest don't even chat with them. You can see the difference between how these people live in the same country and they share the same culture, but they're so divided in that sense. And I think a Darzi was just that one individual, or at least I'm sure there's other examples in it in our culture, but for fashion, clothing, and tailoring, there's that one individual that anyone and everyone could have gone to get the garments that they wanted. And like that's so powerful, right? Because like no matter what caste you are, what background you have, no matter how much money you make, I think fashion is just so instilled in that culture, or looking good or dressing up is so instilled in the culture, what I was kind of saying earlier, that it was accessible to all. And I think that has been the theme that I wanted to bring here to the West, where I want it to be accessible to anyone and everyone that wants a suit, right? But it doesn't just stop at a suit. It can extrapolate into a lot of other things and a lot of different avenues, which I do plan on getting into. But I think the suit for me has been that one garment that really, every man needs, right? Every woman even nowadays needs, right? Women predominantly didn't wear suits, but now they are. It's coming into fashion, which is super awesome. But like a man, right? Like think about your journey as from a boy to a man. How many events you may have had that you did require a suit, whether it's a wedding, like you're saying you got it for your brother's wedding, whether it's your graduation, and for other cultures like a bar mitzvah, or like your 21st birthday, whatever you're doing, right? Like some big pivotal moment that a suit is needed. I think for me to hone in on the brand Darzi Studio, was that tailoring aspect of it, right? Like what a Darzi is, embodying my culture, embodying what I've grown up seeing and hearing from family members, being born in a country like India as well too. The name basically just came to me. I think it was just like something that like it was the most easy way to name the brand, right? Like what am I doing? I'm making clothes. And how do you make clothes? You go to a Darzi. And I was like, hey, Darzi. And then we added Studio later on. First the brand was just Darzi. So some of our old labels, even I'm not sure if you have the newer label or the older label on your suit, but it just said Darzi before.
Yeah, it might just say Darzi actually.
Yeah, exactly, man. And then I included Studio in it because I was bringing here to the West. I wanted to modernize it a little bit. I wanted you to really come in here and really just cook something up in the stew, right? In the studio. You come here and we sit down, we chat, we learn about you, but it's a collaborative process, right? I am here just to kind of mirror your personality into that suit, but you really get to pick every little detail and embody that in that suit, and you can wear it out, and it should feel not only fitted to you, but fitted to your personality. So I think that
Mm.
studio piece kind of now I don't even call it Darzi, I just call it Darzi Studio, and I think that was also a pretty interesting pivot, I guess. Very small one, obviously, what's in the name, but a name says a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people don't know what a Darzi is in the West, so it kind of helped bridge that gap as well too.
I think it creates an identity for your brand. I think it creates a character behind it. And you had talked about in another podcast that I was listening of yours about a pushback against fast fashion and starting the individual sartorial journey. For people, for guests and viewers who don't know, I didn't know what that word meant beforehand, but it's essentially the idea of tailoring when it comes to garments and form fitting. Tell me a little bit about that push against fast fashion and what it means to start people's sartorial journey, people who have never had a suit tailored or have never had the power of what tailored clothing brings and what that means to your brand.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I think it's also a little bit about the misconception that people have about a custom suit, right? People think a custom suit is going to cost you're going to have to shell out a lot of money for it. It's something that is like not accessible to many people. That's what they would assume. But if you go down all the way down to the very nitty gritty of down to the fabric level, right? Down to the button level, when you compile a suit together, it can be a very economically like you can affordable like suit. You can easily get one, right? Obviously, the more money you invest in the fabric, the better the suit is, the better the fall is, things like that. I mean, that, as you go on to your sartorial journey, you can invest in those things. But I think the sartorial journey that most people, I feel like, are a lot really misguided here in the States, especially. I think due to that is also fast fashion. I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's brands like Zara and Mango and Reese that really do it well with their designs and their things like that. But apart from like the sustainability aspect of it and the wastage aspect of it, they're really just pumping out these trends that they're seeing these big fashion houses do, and bringing it into a more economical way, right? Like they're bringing it more affordable and more approachable for a wider audience. Some of the
Mhm.
silhouettes that they have, they copy the high fashion houses that are selling suits for like 4 or 5 grand. You go to a Zara, you can get that suit for $300, but you're getting a suit that's polyester, that's not going to fit well, it's going to not wear well, for the longevity of it. So Darzi Studio here, like my job is to help you start that sartorial journey, and while not really breaking the bank either, right? Like to get your first suit, your first like your foot in the door of a really good form fitting suit where you don't necessarily spend too much on the fabric, but you spend more time on that tailoring. And what that means is like everyone is built so differently. Like yours and my shoulders could be the same size, but maybe your trap is rolled up a little bit, forward and back or whatever it is. My sleeves might be a little bit longer, things like that. So I think the fast fashion doesn't do a good job at grading the sizing of clothes. I think that was honestly the first itch that I also had with like starting a brand or making clothes for myself, was that I would always get things tailored. I would always get things altered, I should say, even if I got things
Mhm.
off the rack. So I think one of the biggest problems in fast fashion, obviously from the sustainability aspect of it, I mean, that's like a whole another conversation we go on for hours.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's the sizing, right? So I think that also creates a big problem and it misguides a lot of men today that don't really necessarily know. I think men are definitely like misguided in terms of like what to wear and how to wear it. So obviously I want to step in and help you out doing that as well. But I think it's also sizing. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff out there that fast fashion does provide, but the sizing is so
Mhm.
off. So if you put it on, you're just not gonna feel good in it. You're not gonna like it just based on the sizing alone. So why buy something from fast fashion and then get it tailored or altered? Why not just start that journey by getting something tailored already? And when you step in for a consultation, I'll educate you about, the different fabrics you can start off with if you have a specific budget. So it's really the misconception that men have about the cost of it is that throws them off from starting their sartorial journey. But I think the whole theme about it is basically being well put together,
Yeah.
and that starts with a well-fitting, form-fitting attire, right? Whether it's a suit, whether it's a sweater, whether it's anything else. Like you'll hear me in arguments with my friends and everyone that follows the trends, and this is how much I'm so against it. I genuinely hate streetwear, bro. I don't think I'll ever be able to pull off streetwear. I see my friends wear it and they do it really, really well. I just can't do it. And I think it's a bit lazy, man. I don't think you'll ever catch me in sweats. I think like I'm also stepping away from wearing jeans. I think it's like super, you know, super casual. I think being dressed up to me is like more important now. Obviously, being, it being my brand, but also makes me feel good about myself, right? Like if I'm wearing something that fits me well, like this is a 100% wool suit, the way it feels on my body, the way it's like forming against my shoulders and things like that, I feel so comfortable. Like I'm in this all day and I don't feel uncomfortable. I think the other misconception based on that with fashion is that like if sizing doesn't fit, right, you're gonna be uncomfortable in it. Most people you'd ask like, hey, like would you be in a suit all day? No, they wouldn't because it doesn't fit them well. They don't feel comfortable in it. But you can get a suit to fit that way where you'd wear it all day long. You'd wear it and you'll feel comfortable and you'll be happy wearing it.
But I think that your brand, I think, has a spectrum, and there's definitely the accessibility point of people starting that journey, but then there's also a little bit more of an art form. And I consider you also, aside from a design, a tailor focused professional, you're also someone who's an artist in your space. And when it comes to art, you explore what it means. And in this sense, I think I've seen you use the word wearable art before. Tell me a little bit about venturing out and what it means when someone comes to you with a unique request, or if it's a good friend and they're maybe having a wedding, or someone recently came to you with the performance grade kurta. Tell me a little bit more about what it means to push the boundaries in art, and, what's your philosophy behind that when you get a new challenge or someone coming to you with a unique request?
Yeah, man, I love taking on those requests just because it allows, like you said, pushes my boundaries. But if you think about a suit, right, like not much has changed from like generation to generation, years, like the hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years a suit has been around, right, as a garment. You look back in history, I mean, suits have always been around. I mean, if you look at all these, like you look at pre-war movies, things like that, a suit has been like a common theme in a lot of like wardrobes for men. Not much has changed. You have a peak lapel, you have a notch lapel, you have a shawl lapel. Most people don't even know what that is. They just know what a suit is, right? So I think when I am presented with a challenge, it allows me to push the boundaries of what just a suit is, right? So that kind of gets into what you were saying about wearable art. I'm glad you used that term because I think it's just super cool, man. Apart from the kurta, I would definitely want to chat to you about that one. That was a really fun one. We did Art Basel is happening next week, and we did a hand-painted dinner jacket for this gentleman. He's attending an exhibition for one of his favorite artists. I think he has a piece from one of the artists as well too, and he took inspiration from the art piece and we put that on the suit. Took like over like 48 hours to hand paint. We put a finishing over it, which now he can have that and hang that up as an art piece in his closet or in his home. Whether he decides to wear it again or not, it's still going to be something that is unique, a conversation starter. And I think it just shows how creative you can really get with just a simple suit, right? You don't have to just stick to the patterns. You don't have to stick to just the solids. You can add more to it. So that's one piece of it. The other thing is also functionality, man. I think that kind of divvies into the performance grade kurta I was going to talk about. I'm in a suit all day. I know how sometimes it can be uncomfortable to wear a double breast versus a single breast. I'll give you an example, and this goes into the kurta story. The double breast is probably my favorite cut in a suit, and it's basically, for those that don't know, is it buttons over, right? So the lapels kind of fold over each other. And it gives a really nice form-fitting look to the waistline, and I just love that. The way we cut ours is very, very sharp, where we have two darts that go on the side of the waist, downwards and then upwards, which gives you this like really good hourglass shape, even when it's unbuttoned. Traditionally, a double breast, people refrain from it because there's a lot of fabric, it flaps around if you don't have it closed, but our cut, we've made it really slim. One of the most annoying things about it though is that when you close it and you put your hands in your pocket, it creates this like bubble here of fabric that is just super uncomfortable. So I had this idea, and I was like, you know what? I was wearing this double breast. It was so irritating. I don't know. I think I was sick or something, and I was like, dude, you're just so agitated. Dude, I literally just took scissors and I cut two slits into the double breast. I'm like, I can make another one. It's okay. Dude, it just came out to be this really sick design. I have it up here on the wall, and basically now you wear the double breast, it folds over, and it retains that look, and it has these slits in the front and the back. So when you put your hands in your pocket, that bubble is gone. But the look and the feel is still retained. So that was like a unique style that I came up with. And then when Sagar came to me and approached me about this idea about making a kurta they want to run a 26-mile marathon in, I was like, dude, this sounds like crazy, but we got to do it. This is going to be sick. So that was a fun idea, man. So incorporated that idea of the slit because he was going to run. So he wanted the mobility in his legs. So the slit was actually a lot higher. So that way, when he's running, his legs aren't being constricted by the kurta. And
Right.
obviously the kurta is like a knee length garment. So it's impossible to run in a kurta. Like for 26 miles, he'd be exhausted.
Yeah.
So having that slit definitely helped a lot in him completing that marathon, which he did successfully, which is awesome, man. And this is the first time me and him met as well too. We were introduced by another friend because which I'm fortunate of him introducing me to Sagar. But dude, I remember Sagar is like he's been posting videos on TikTok and stuff, and so I saw him in and around like social media. So I had the opportunity to meet him, and that kind of goes back to what I said earlier, man. I've like met so many different cool people from different walks of life. It's just it allows me to get a bigger network, but also exposes me to a lot of these cool challenges. So going to the kurta, we created the slits. We used like a really light performance grade fabric. It had elastane in it. It was wool-based elastane, so it basically like stretches a lot, so it's easy. So when he's running around, he's moving his hands, things like that. He's not constricted in any way. We lined the kurta as well too, so the embroidery that we put on it, we want to stay true to what a kurta is, right? If you look at a kurta, it has sequencing on it, has embroidery on it. So what we did was we embroidered the entire map of Philadelphia, and then we pinpointed the exact track of the marathon on the kurta. It was nuts, bro. It was a crazy, crazy project, but it was on brand, on theme, and it was authentically a kurta, and the pictures came out great. The marathon was great. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend and cheer him on, but I chatted with him, and he said he felt really comfortable in it, so I can't wait to see what we cook up next. I mean, I feel like Sagar's going to be doing a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
That was just one thing, but dude, the painted one, that one was fun. This kurta was fun, and even going to like a plain old suit, bro. Like I made a suit for like a New York City detective. He wanted it like a gun holster in his suit, and we're like
Right.
map this out. We have like the fabric laid over the table, and we made it happen. We had to go with a heavier weight fabric so he can hold up the gun.
Hmm.
Things like that, man. Like it was so cool. That was like my James Bond like Q moment. You know, like this like super cool like jacket with these cool like hidden pockets and things like that. It was just awesome, man. And I mean, I take an influence from like movies, man. I'm like a big like cinephile. I love watching movies. And James Bond is definitely a figure that like I like to embody in the suits that I wear.
Hmm.
Sean Connery is the one. I have a picture up there of him. He's the one who came out with the Glen plaid. He made that style so that pattern so famous, and that's like a core like suit that I always like push to people and say, hey, this is something you should explore. But man, like who doesn't want to be James Bond, man? Who doesn't want to be a
Yeah.
secret agent? Like, it's
Right.
insane, and you can get as close to it. You'll have the license to kill in that suit, bro. Like you have the cool car and the gadgets. I mean, you could, but it starts with that suit, and it allows people to connect. I mean, even like people, I have like clients that are lawyers, and they'll see like Harvey Specter, and they'll be like, the show is like nothing about law, like at all. But he's a cool guy, and I want to like dress like him. So we have a suit that I dubbed as like the Specter, and it basically has like these wide peak lapels that Harvey wears. So I
Right.
take influences from everywhere, man. And I think going back to that wearable art, I think that's what it's about, right? Like just really pushing the boundaries of what a suit is supposed to be. Obviously not traditionally for like the workforce and to wear to like a job. You have those suits as well. But when you're out and about and you're going to a party, you can really just go crazy with it.
Yeah. And that creative expression, I think, is like synonymous, with the brand and that personalization, that experience. Even when we were making my suit, it always felt like it was me who was making those decisions at the end of the day. But your expertise, your knowledge, and your just, knowledge in the space, I think, allowed me to feel comfortable taking a step outside the traditional because I knew that whatever was going to be done, it felt like it was going to be done right. And I think that that's, wearable art and that experience of personalization is, synonymous with your brand and philosophy of design. I know I want to touch a little bit more about how clothing can change how you feel. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about, even when you're younger, you use clothing as a medium. Tell me about what it means to put something on and the way it makes you feel and what it means for you to do that for your clients and your customers and seeing that change in them and seeing them happy or going in their weddings or their events and showcasing your work and the referrals that come from that. What does that mean to you and the feelings that come from clothes?
Yeah, man. I mean, like I'll answer the latter part first of like dressing up someone for like a big occasion like their wedding, right? It's like that's one of the most important events in your life. And if I can be a part of that through like making you look good on that big day, gets me fired up, man. It gets me excited, right? Obviously, that leads to referrals and the business aspect of it as well too, which is obviously important as well. But I think it's like really just understanding what the bride wants, not even the groom. It's crazy. It's her day. I've always said this, but I love being part of that journey. I think it's so interesting because now I get to push the creative boundaries, especially like if I just focus on Indian weddings, South Asian weddings. I would say predominantly that's, at least in a wedding capacity, that's what I've like really honed in on, because I can offer a lot more for them as well too.
Right.
We've done things where we'll take the bride's dress, we'll take the sequencing, the patterns, the designs, the colors, and embody that into the tuxedo of the gentleman, right? Like we'll take the sequencing, we'll put it on the lapels or something like that. So you're getting away from just the traditional dinner jacket, you're getting away from the traditional black tuxedos or the white tuxedos. We do those as well too. But being a part of that journey and being part of that conversation is so cool because you get to see them sitting right across their desk and getting fired up, right? Like they're super excited. And you ask them how you met, and you ask them like, how do you think about his fashion sense? What do you think he'll be comfortable in? You really start seeing like these little things come out in these conversations. You get to know them on a deeper level and you have that connection. It's similar to like kind of like a chef, right? Like a chef cooks his food to serve the people, and the only reaction he gets is like if the food is good or like if they like it and their thoughts and their opinion. So I think the end result matters so much. So when a client comes in, we'll make his outfit, and then when you see him on this big day and he's getting a lot of compliments, he's feeling like the man of the hour and it's his show, it feels so good, dude. It feels like amazing. It's like so rewarding. And you'll get these messages and saying like, yo bro, you made my day, I got so many compliments. And then the bride will say the same thing, like I've never seen him like this, he's like glowing, it's insane, it's nuts. I mean, she should say that more often, but if she's saying it with him wearing my tux, I think it's awesome, dude, to be part of that journey. I think it's really fulfilling. Not too long ago, a few weeks ago, I made a suit for this guy. He just graduated college. He had a tough time in this job market getting a job. He's like, my father told me to invest in a good suit. He think it'll make a good impression. I'm like, dude, honestly, I want to meet your dad. That's freaking awesome, because like now you see these kids, these Gen Zs, and like I say kids like I'm old, but I'm not. Refuse to say that. But they don't really, not many people wear suits, but it's the fact that he is taking the time out of his day, investing in a custom suit to wear to an interview. He works in the world of finance, and it's important there. And obviously different career paths, different industries have different like cultural norms and things like that. But for him to put that effort in is insane. And the other day he ended up getting a job, and it was
awesome.
I take a little bit credit for the suit that I did, but I'm sure that helped in his confidence, right? He probably sat a lot larger in that chair sitting across the interviewer, and felt more comfortable and felt really good about himself wearing a tailored suit, wearing something that he felt so comfortable in, and that may have triggered something in his mind to be more confident in answering those questions. Not to take away anything away from the effort and the hard work into the interview, but it goes into what we were chatting about, like how wearing clothes that you feel comfortable with, that you feel good in, make you feel good, right? It's so psychological, man. It's like if I'm wearing sweats, I know I'm having a lazy day, right? Like that to me is synonymous with either like just being a couch potato or just being at home, just like lounging out, which I still never wear sweats at home, which I really should. Or, it's like, this is something Neil actually said, man. And I questioned him because it was COVID. We were doing these sales calls on like Zoom meetings and things like that. We're pitching to agencies. Agency world is very, very young. People were showing up in hoodies and things like that. Neil would come on, on a Zoom call, and it's not one of those memes you'll see where he's just wearing a suit from there and he's just like wearing shorts underneath. He would just walk into he would purposely do it. I feel like sometimes he'll have the camera really far away. He'll walk into his room, pick up his laptop, bring it to his desk, but you see his entire outfit. And I think after the first few times he did it, I was like, dude, why are you wearing a 3-piece suit, bro? Like what? Like, what's going on, dude? No one's doing this. You're at home. What are you doing? He's like, Rythum, it's my uniform. He's like, this is how I go to work. We're in this new age of like this computer, and we're working behind a screen for the first time, but nothing should change, because he's like, it's a flip that happens in my mind is when I put this on, it's a uniform that says, hey, now it's time to work. Now we got to get to work. Now it's time to do business. He's like, but you'll see me after work. I'll take the suit off. I'll wear my casual clothes. And now I know it's time to turn off that piece of the side of the brain and focus on family, focus on other things, focus on my hobbies and things like that. So that really stuck with me, man. I think like it becomes that part of you, right? Like it becomes like a thing that you do. It becomes like I'll use the word again, uniform. When you put it on, you feel something else. You feel something different. You feel ready to be doing something else completely, right? Like for me, obviously, it's showing up to work, and most of my clients, you'll wear your casual wear as well, but you're most likely wearing that suit to go to an event that means a lot to you, or to be more presentable. And now you're wearing something that fits you better and something that you feel more comfortable in. Your personality is just going to show that. Your aura is just going to show that. So I think it goes hand in hand. You wear good clothes, you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. That impact, I mean, we don't really question it if it's anything else, right? If a family's going to church, like you dress up, or if it's Easter Sunday, whatever it is, or if you're a basketball team, a football team, like there's a reason you wear a jersey and you guys are all wearing that to like unify the team. Or if you're a firefighter or a policeman, like, even like a policeman on duty versus off duty, like the way they carry themselves in that uniform versus off is like, it's a different feeling, and it's a different embodiment. And those things I think do represent parts of our spirit and personality. And that affects like the energy that not only you have, but the energy that people receive. And those are just associations. Those are the way our mind works. The way when we interpret people, we form generalizations, and whether that's subconscious or conscious, like those are the things that you notice when you're wearing it. And that feel good, look good is a timeless, saying, and something, that I think resonates with individuals, that I think when they change the way they dress and they change the way they feel, especially from like an era where we are working from home, right? Like I've changed from being in the office every day to working from home. And even then I still try to make an effort to like wear something, even when I go to a cafe or go at home, or if we're on a meeting with an important client, because it just shows like a level of respect, and it does change the mindset, change the frame of mind of like, all right, it's time to do work now. And it also helps when the offload, right? When I'm taking it off, it's like, all right, like I can like take this hat off for a little bit and I can decompress. So the concept of the podcast is if I died today. And I had named the podcast for a lot of different reasons, but that's a question that I've grappled with in certain circumstances, but also throughout life, what it means to create impact, and what it means to live a fulfilling and a fulfilling life, and a life filled with meaning. And I want my guests to kind of go into that deeper purpose for them. If you had died today, God forbid, what part of your story or your brand story would you want people to remember you by?
No, I mean, that's really, it's a really deep question, man. I mean, I think the answer is, a short answer would be by suits, for sure. But I think it goes deeper than that, right? Like, I think it's, I would love to be remembered. I mean, I think when you're on that deathbed, right, and you're thinking about like, you're recollecting life, and all of the impact that you've had, I think the core theme of it is like, how have I impacted people, right? Like, what have I done to the people around me that are like surrounding me right now on the last seconds that I have, or last minutes that I have? And I think that is the bigger question. I think that is the purpose, right? I think through the brand, through Darzi, I've found that purpose. I think, it's been completely like a crazy reality shift in my mind that like, maybe I wasn't an introverted kid. Maybe I always wanted to be outgoing. Maybe I always wanted to be like, social. Maybe I always wanted to start the conversation, but I didn't have it in me. So the clothes that I wore helped me do that. So now these clothes can also help other people do that. There's a lot of people go through that same, journey. So I think it's me helping people get onto that journey and start their own. And it's not like I'll be hand-holding them all the way, till end of time. But if I can at least spark that, I think that to me is fulfilling, right? I think that to me is like, hey, you know what? I remember that guy who helped me get started wearing my first suit. Or I remember that guy who told me, yo, wear this, because that sparked something in their mind, or whatever it was. Whether it's streetwear, whether it's like, like sneakers, whatever it is. I think I don't really shy away from giving my opinions, especially when it comes to fashion, for sure. So if I can help spark that click, I think that to me is the most fulfilling thing. So if I were to die today, I'd like to be remembered by how I inspired you through the clothes that you wear, at least.
That's beautiful. And no, I feel like I feel that whenever I talk to you and I'm around the clothes and things that you produce too. Like, I always sparks memories of the conversation, but also more so like how this suit makes me feel. Like, it comes to mind. And even when I was at the conference for the first time and I wore it for the first time, I texted you and I was like, hey man, I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it. It feels good. And that whole day I was thinking about like, damn, like this impact that I did, like we were talking about, but I felt it come to fruition. And I think you'll continue to do that with your brand. What do you want Darzi Studio to represent a decade from now?
Oof, it's a crazy question because I'm actually sitting down and like now we're getting towards the end of the year, really planning for next year, right? Like trying to think how I can grow the business and how can I innovate a little bit more into it. I think I would like to have Darzi represent 10 years from now a place where you can come in and comfortably stitch your personality, right? And that's like a pun in itself, and that's like, you know, wordplay a little bit, but come in and really just an end-to-end wardrobe that exudes your personality, whether it's knitwear, whether it's like denim, whether it's even regular t-shirts, something that you can add to those level of those garments and make it into like an entire wardrobe, because I think that entire wardrobe will like sort of create that lifestyle that you want, right? So I think 10 years from now, I definitely want to open it to a wider audience, those that don't want to just wear suits but start that sartorial journey, right? So I think that theme will still stay even 10 years from now, but I think I want to start experimenting with what's the next garment I can kind of tackle. Not stray away from suits. I think that'll still be the core of things. I think it's the most elite garment that a man has in his wardrobe. So I think it's definitely something that will always stay true to the brand. But I think next year I'm trying to work on kind of extrapolating the different lines that we have, and really focusing on building a end-to-end wardrobe, not just, you know, circumventing around the suit. So I think 10 years from now, I think it'll be a place where you can go in, you'll sit in a room like this. This gets me so excited, man. Like I would want it to be a really cool studio. Like honestly, just walking into like a Q's shop in James Bond, right? Like you have these cool guys, cool suits and things, and these other garments and whatnot. But I envision it to be an experience, right? I think I'm not in a product business, I'm in the service business. I think it starts from the experience you feel. You can get a suit from anywhere, right? Obviously we have our own cuts and things like that, and we have a unique touch to it. But if you wanted a black suit, you can go get a black suit from anywhere. But why would you come to Darzi Studio? Why would you come see me, right? It should be how I make you feel, right? It kind of goes into the fulfilling aspect for me, but also what the brand is all about. You come in and you have this consultation. We're not just chatting about like, hey, here's the fabric, here are the buttons, here are the linings. We're chatting about why are you wearing this? What is this gonna make you feel? What do you wanna feel in it when you're in it, right? So I think 10 years down the line, we have a much bigger studio. We have multiple ones around the country, maybe even the world, and not even maybe, definitely around the world. That'd be amazing, right? I wouldn't expose people to the different cultures and, you know, obviously straight to the Indian culture, but you come into a studio, you're greeted, you're sitting down on this couch, you're looking at these wearable arts, you're looking at all these garments, you're looking at all these cool things. You're really soaking it all in. Someone's coming over to you, offering you a drink, you're sipping this cocktail, whatever it is that you're drinking, a cup of coffee, you're having a chat with a like in-house stylist or like a person, an associate that is walking you through each specific piece, each specific cut, and trying to understand and pull out from you the energy you're trying to exude in these clothes. And then you obviously do the process, you'll get measured, you'll pick up the suit, and then you'll come back for more.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I can already see it, and I can tell you right now, even when we were in the small studio and the workshop, I felt that same feeling. And I think you embody that as an individual. So, you know, best of luck on your journey. I'll tag your website, and if you guys want to follow through the process, everything will be available below. And if you want to follow Rythum's journey, I'll tag his socials. But I'm extremely proud of everything that you've done, and I just know that the growth next year is going to be even more exponential, and these things just compound over and over. And I'm really happy that I got to be a part of it. And I'll continue to be a part of it, of course. For my next one, we got to do a different color. We got to do navy. We got to get the pinstripes. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, man, I want to give you your flowers. Like, this is something that's not the traditional path. And I think that it's something that you've created and crafted, and your vision, I think, is imbued with these clothes. And it's just a medium for who you are as an individual. So I'm really grateful to have you on the podcast early on. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully having you back when we have some of these goals accomplished too.
Thank you so much, man. And I mean, I got to give you your flowers too, man. What you're doing is you're following your passion, right? Following your interests. And I think you're really giving us a stage, right? Like, you know, I'm a small business owner right now. I want to grow this into a much larger company, a much larger brand. And, you know, allowing me to share my story helps me think about like, hey, what's next? And to see you do that with other individuals, I can't wait to be a true follower of the pod. Thanks for having me on so early, man. I'm truly honored. And I got to see you in the studio, because you got to check out the new space, man. I think you're gonna love it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be there soon. But thank you all. If you guys can subscribe and follow, I'll leave everything in the description below.
Thank you for listening to If I Died Today with your host, Samay Mishra. Every story reminds us that life's meaning isn't found in what we achieve, but in who we become. Join us next time as we explore another journey, another life, and another reason to keep going. New episodes drop soon, so subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if today's conversation moved you, leave us a review or share it with someone who'd appreciate the message.